But you know what though? I ain't too mad because you let him, Jenny, after the whole incident with the kiss and him calling you one of Max's dumb friends, you let him come up in there and come up in you. Hey, it's Wildflower and welcome back to Wild Recaps. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite shows, Ginny and Georgia, because season 3 is airing June 5th. So we have Georgia, who is the mama, Ginny, who is the daughter, Austin, who is the son and little brother. They had just moved to Massachusetts from Texas because Georgia's husband passed away because him. Yeah. This fact is a secret, of course. You're gonna have to stick with me to see exactly how that happened. The first scene of the first episode starts with Ginny in the classroom, painting the picture of basically how awkward she is, okay? She's never had friends because she moves a lot, so of course she never had a boyfriend either. You can see how awkward she is when people are just trying to have a normal conversation with her. So Ginny's in this new town. She has this asshole English teacher, but in his class is where she meets her best friend Max and her first boyfriend Hunter. Let's talk about the friends first. Max, she is a lot. She talks a mile a minute, but she's friendly and she is a good friend to Ginny. She introduces Ginny to her co-ed friend group, who is an interesting group of teenagers, where everybody kisses everybody type of thing. Yeah. So we have Nora, who is apparently the most sexually experienced in the group because her and her boyfriend have been together since like eighth grade or something. I don't know if it's eighth grade, but they are the long-term couple of the group. We have Abby, who from the jump doesn't like Ginny because she doesn't want her friendship dynamic with Nora and Max to change. These are the people Ginny will be having most of her character building experiences with besides her mom. Yes, Ginny and Georgia have a rocky relationship. Georgia is really being the best mother she can, and Ginny is only a teenager and someone who thinks she knows more than she does. At the same time, Ginny is constantly catching her mother in lies and finding out deeper details as time goes on. So it's hard to trust her mom. But right now, we're at the very beginning of the first season, and Ginny hasn't even been framed for stealing yet. Exactly. In the first or second episode, she goes to the store with her new friends and helps steal some earrings because she's a follower. This is the first time I see that the little redhead girl, Abby, doesn't like Jenny. She was the one who actually said and verbalized that Jenny stole. She actually blamed it on her, and she was the one that initiated the stealing. George has been around the block though, and she peeps that, and she lets Jenny know that ratting her out isn't very friendly. So Jenny is trying to find her way with her new school and friends while Austin is on the same journey, but unfortunately has found a bully, a little boy in his class who is basically mean for no reason. Georgia's trying to find a job because her divorce settlement has not gone through while trying to figure out her place with these moms around this town. She stumbles upon the mayor at this popular spot, this little eatery in town. She plays a little trick to get his attention and it works like a charm. Now, this little move she pulled, which was bumping into him and making him spill his drink, it just put her on his radar. They don't actually start to date until she starts working for him. Right. Georgia shot her shot at a job at this little lunch meeting with the two, but the mayor said he wasn't hiring. She proved herself at the next town meeting though, and she got hired there on the spot. So after impressing the mayor again at a community casino night after she got hired, their romance took off. Within the first couple episodes is when we meet one of Georgia's villains though, Cynthia. Now, Cynthia is the type of woman who goes to all the town meetings with a list of complaints, all the school board meetings. Not to say that those things are petty, but if it is petty and it's going to annoy you, Cynthia isn't too far behind. Not to mention, the little boy who is bullying Austin is Cynthia's son. So far, all the redhead people are the villains. Cynthia and her son, Abby. Back to Ginny. She has an across the street neighbor who she has a crush on and who is also Max's twin brother. After a frustrating day, Ginny obviously needed to do something to make herself feel alive, okay? So she takes her neighbor, Marcus, she takes his motorcycle, rides it down the street and back, and when she gets back into the yard, she grabs him and kisses him. Right, okay? Now, right after that, a car pulls up with a pretty girl in it that came to pick Marcus up. Her name is Padma. She asked Marcus, well, who is this? And Marcus said, one of Max's dumb friends. This is right after the kiss, right? So that is how Ginny's first kiss went. When she got home, right after that, her mom was on her ass because she saw her on that motorcycle, and she had a flashback to riding on Ginny's father's motorcycle, and her thoughts went spiraling, thinking Ginny was going to be on her way to teenage pregnancy. By the way, throughout this whole series, we witness flashbacks from Georgia about significant events that happened in the past that are slowly coming back to haunt her. So, of course, they argue about that before the episode is over. Before we move on, I want to remind us that yes, Ginny has a crush on Marcus and Hunter has a crush on Ginny. Ginny and Hunter end up together, meeting each other's parents and stuff like that. So, right when her and Hunter's relationship is beginning, she loses her virginity. No, girl, not to her boyfriend, to Marcus. Now, let me tell you how this happened because it was like her first kiss, not ideal. So, this is an across the street neighbor. So, he has to cross the street to come and do what he does, which is jump her window. Okay. Now, the very first time it happens, it is creepy. I just remember like not too much dialogue in between then before they start doing it. And it happened very fast, very not loving, very just I jump your window, came to get it done. And then whenever he got it done, he put on his pants when he's about to jump back out the window to leave. And it was like, yeah, can we keep this on the low? But you know what though? I ain't too mad because you let him, Jenny, after the whole incident with the kiss and him calling you one of Max's dumb friends, you let him come up in there and come up in you. That's how she lost her virginity. And again, you guys, she had just started this whole relationship with Hunter. Now, before we go on, let's just do a little recap of characters here. We have Georgia, the mama, Ginny, the daughter. Okay, we have Cynthia, the Karen. We have the mayor, who is the mayor, and Georgia's man. Now, you know, I mentioned earlier that Georgia met the mayor at an eatery, a popular little spot around town. So that spot is owned by a guy named Joe, and Joe is going to have many parts here. He shows up in one of the flashbacks. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Again, Joe owns this eatery around town, but there are flashbacks where they show that Joe and Georgia had actually met a long time ago. Georgia was basically on the run during her childhood because she was escaping her abusive stepfather. And on the way to wherever she was going, she was at some sort of rest stop where she met Joe, and they were young, you know, they were kids. Again, this is a flashback. He gave her some Ray-Ban glasses that she still had to the day, and so he saw them. And my confusion is I don't know if Georgia realizes who Joe is. She seems to be very like chummy with him, like from the very first episode she seemed like she knew him already, but we didn't see like in the current time how that happened. She just kind of showed up in this town, showed up at the diner and started talking to him like she knew him. You know what I mean? But I don't know if she actually remembers that is the boy that she met when she was, you know, a girl. Joe remembers though. Know that. Of course he has a crush on her, you know? So that's an interesting part of this too. And while I'm at it, let me just go ahead and tell you about this situation with the divorce settlement money. Like I said, they moved to this town because Georgia's husband passed away because him, all right? So the way him is she grows these purple flowers. I don't know what they're called. If I get the chance, I'll go ahead and put it on screen for y'all. But these flowers that she grows, they are poisonous. And she makes the guy a smoothie every morning. And one morning she put the flowers in the smoothie, and that's what caused his heart attack while he was driving, which causes accidents, which caused his demise. The reason why she did that is because she witnessed him trying to feel up on her daughter Jenny. Yeah, it was during some yoga practice because he was a guy that owned like a lot of yoga studios, and Jenny and him were practicing a move and he was getting a little too touchy and she was telling him to stop and everything like that. And so Georgia actually witnessed that, and so that's why she slayed that man. He had a family before Jenny in Georgia. His ex-wife hates Georgia. She hates Georgia. I mean, I believe that him and Georgia got married pretty quickly type of thing, you know. So she always hated her, and when he died, she was all suspicious. So she's got private investigators and stuff trying to figure out the dirt on Georgia to try to stop her from getting the divorce settlement because her and him hadn't known each other that long and hadn't been married that long. So she is after this money. So that's what Georgia's going through, you know, behind the closed doors. Georgia does meet a friend that I like very much for her, which is, again, her across the street neighbors, Max's mom, Max and Marcus's mom. I'm not remembering people's names very well. I can put it on the screen for you guys and show you guys, of course. So, yeah. this lady that's her friend. They get to talking about their kids and about their pet. Actually, the first time they meet is just, pretty casual. But then maybe the second or third time she comes over, they smoke together, weed, and they just, talk about their past and stuff like that. And Georgia jokes about Austin's father being in jail because he got framed for credit card fraud. And she joked about her being the one framing him. And later on, we see, is that a joke or not? Or we start to question, is that a joke or not? So yeah, guys, Georgia has done a lot of stuff, okay? But again, this is somebody who had to fight her way through life, running away from her home, getting pregnant. She ended up actually, while we're here, let me tell you about this too. There's just so much backstory, and I'm not telling it like completely chronologically. I'm just kind of giving you all a roundabout view of the story so that you can understand, so you can enjoy what's coming. So the flashbacks are pretty random in between those times. There's a lot to know about Miss Georgia, okay? She meets Jenny's father. They were both underage in a bar because they had fake IDs and things. So they get pregnant and he takes Georgia home and she's with them for a while, but then Zion is Jenny's father's name. So his mother starts talking about how she thinks it's best that they take custody of the baby while Zion goes to law school and does this and does that. And Georgia was not with the whole taking custody thing. Now, instead of like talking to them and trying to work it out and everything like that, the girl stole some money and ran away. If you are enjoying this video, please let me and YouTube know with a like. Thanks. You'll see later in this season that he does actually show up. Jenny's father, Zion, he does show up. It's not like that anymore, but this is a part of Georgia's past. She had gone MIA from him before and, tried to survive on her own. And that entailed her meeting other men who she kind of had to use to survive, but then ended up killing him too. Yeah, that's another thing. She met this one guy who, I don't know if he owned the place she was staying or something that he had that gave her stability. She didn't like him. She didn't like him, but it was a place and it was what she needed at the time. And so they ended up getting married. That was so she could keep her child. She had to prove that she had a stable environment for the child. So she got married for that. But then, of course, he wanted to control her. He wanted to be intimate with her. He wants to do husband and wife things and, control where she goes, know where she goes and stuff like that. And, she just couldn't live like that. So what did she do, girl? You already know what she did. Exactly. And I believe that was the first husband that she did that to. Yeah. That's when Jenny was little, very small girl. Like Jenny doesn't even remember that time. We find out that she has a sister because her sister pops up, girl, like literally just pops up. And they do it in a creepy way. They introduce the character in a creepy way. They have like the door cracked and somebody like walking around the house like a creeper, you know what I'm saying? So she ends up getting inside the house, okay? Meeting Austin and everything like that, literally just popping up on this woman. And her sister comes in calling Georgia by her real name, which is Mary. And that's, of course, the first time that Jenny finds that out, that her mother's name is actually Mary. Now, imagine being Jenny and moving a lot, not having friends, which is a normal part of life, because your mom is moving you guys so much, and also like dating different men and moving because something doesn't work out. Like, this is what you're witnessing. Now you move to this nice town, you have friends, you have a boyfriend, and things that you just never had before, but you then find out that your mom's name is not even the name that you've known her by your whole life. How would you feel? That would make you question, like, what else is she lying about? Like, there's a reason why someone lies about their name. I say this because back when the show had just aired and everything, and people were giving their opinions on what was going on, there were a lot of people who were against Jenny because they're like, oh, she's such a brat, she's such a brat. And yeah, that's true. But I don't understand how they don't understand why she is that way. Like, she keeps catching her mom in big lies, and like, just first of all, the moving around and stuff has affected her already, but the lies that she begins to catch her in, this is actually the first big one, finding out that her name isn't her name. So all the while, Georgia's sister is there. Georgia is working for the mayor's office. She has a friend that works in the same office with her. He has a guy that comes around and he starts dating him. But he is actually the private investigator. He is looking for the juice on Jenny for her ex-husband's ex-wife. Remember, she's after that money. So Things get hot when he actually approaches Jenny at her job and tries to tell her, "Oh, do you know what your mom is capable of? Did you know this and that?" And that's when Jenny starts to find out even more heavy things about her mom, like she used to run an illegal casino gambling ring whenever she was with the first guy she killed, that her mom lost custody of her for a short period of time, and just all these things that she didn't know he's telling her, and basically trying to get her to give him information and turn on her mother. Now, she doesn't do it. So Georgia's sister and her, they have moments where they have peace and it's good and they're reminiscing and things like that. We find out that Georgia's mother is sick and she's saying that she's not doing too well, but Georgia is kind of cold with it. She doesn't really care. She just like, her mother was a drug addict, didn't even take care of them, so she doesn't really have any space in her heart to care, which I think that she does. I think that she feels everything, that she just hides it. Georgia keeps asking her sister, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" Because she knows it's something, and she's like, basically trouble follows her sister, so she knows that it's something, but her sister's just acting like, "Oh, I missed you," right? So, of course, one night Georgia ends up breaking into her sister's phone and she reads her text messages and she sees that her sister is working with a private investigator. So of course she kicks her out the next day. It's an emotional scene because her sister has a son who has gotten close with Austin, his cousin, and things like that. And you also know that Austin is not having a very good time with the kids at school. So there's a kid around his age that comes and he's his family and he's having a good time with him, and now he has to leave, and it's just like, it's just so traumatic for the young boy. But the sis gotta go. She been working with the man, you know what I'm saying? Georgia ends up giving her the money that she was looking for too. So I mean, while she's kicking her out, she's still got a heart. More important things that are going on in the background while a lot of other things are going on is that Jenny does find the gun that Georgia has in their home. Inside of her closet, there's like a little slab that comes up. She keeps a box in there with things that she's trying to hide, which is the gun, the letters to Austin. Yeah, so Austin and his father write letters to each other from jail, but it's really Georgia writing the letters to Austin and things like that. And so that gets found out by Ginny in Austin later as well. Right now, we still have Jenny's birthday party and just other things to go through in her life with her friends. Jenny ends up having a birthday party at her mom's house, and Georgia did the damn thing. She had the karaoke for the girls, she had decorations, she had pedicures. I mean, I would have liked it if I was turning, I think she was turning 16. I would have liked it. So, of course, Jenny is mad at her mother for recent events, and she saw when her mother is trying to be good for her birthday. And her friends are cool about it. They like what's going on and everything like that. But of course, these teenagers, they can't be trusted. They can't be trusted. They have plans. Okay, they want to get drunk and sneak out and things like that. And so they successfully do it by convincing Georgia to give them one birthday toast of champagne. Okay, Georgia goes in the kitchen. The girls quickly start pouring liquor from out of her locked cabinet in bottles and stuff like that, because they had the key for just a second because they were doing what they were doing. And so they do all of that in the timing that she comes back with the champagne glasses. They make their toast, but they already got what they need for later. Oh yeah, and her birthday party was the first time that we see Jenny with straight hair, and they had Georgia express that she actually prefers Georgia with her natural hair, which I think is an important moment because this is a story about a white woman and her biracial daughter, and that is a thing in the Black community. Natural hair versus straight hair and weave and all that type of stuff. Like, the hair conversation is a big conversation, and it was just realistic that they would have her make a comment like that. So I appreciate that. Also, for Jenny's birthday, Hunter stepped, okay? Literally. He's always expressing his love for her in extravagant ways. As a matter of fact, this was not the first time it happened. He actually wrote a song for her and performed it on stage, and it went viral online. So they became the cute couple around school. She became popular because of that. But we see that that still wasn't enough to stop her from hooking up with Marcus, unfortunately. So later comes, they're in Jenny's bedroom now. And eventually they start stuffing blankets with pillows to make it look like bodies, and they jump out the window to go do teenagery. They go to somebody's little basement party, smoking weed and stuff. It's also the night that Jenny hooks up with Hunter, and Yo, these teenagers be getting it on, okay? She experiences oral sex for the first time done to her. Also, during Jenny's birthday party, she, in her big mouth, lets her friends know that her mom has a gun in the house. Like, she just lets them know that she found it in that little incident. And I just, for one, when that was going on, I thought that that was TMI for those nosy, loudmouths, kind of untrustworthy girls. You'll see why I was right later. And I also believe around Jenny's birthday, this is when her dad Zion shows up. He picks her up from school, and he's a young hip dad and everything like that. And they hop on his motorcycle and they go to Jenny's house. Georgia and Zion see each other for the first time in a long time. But remember now, Georgia is in this relationship with the mayor and engaged now. She already explained to the mayor that Zion is her penguin, someone that's basically just always going to be there, obviously, because they have a child. I don't even think that would even be acceptable if they didn't. Zion and the mayor, I keep calling him the mayor, but his name is Paul. Zion and Paul meet at the dinner table, and it's good. They hit it off and everything like that. Georgia ends up doing the do with her ex Zion, and they have a moment where they think they're going to be back together. Jenny thinks that her family is back. This is something that Jenny didn't even want to happen because she knew that they would end up not being together. But her parents convince her that they are going to be back together and everything like that. And just as Jenny was afraid of, it doesn't end up happening. Zion ends up leaving because he feels that Georgia is happy where she is in that town with Paul and everything going on there. So he steps out and removes himself from the picture. This is yet another thing that angers Jenny about her mother, her parents, her life. So while everything is going on with everyone, we have situations that Georgia's friends are going through as well that are important because it spills over into everything. For one, Max, who is a lesbian, has her first girlfriend, which is exciting. And she is a more experienced girl. She's an upperclassman. She's, I think, a senior, and she's already experienced losing her virginity and everything. And so there's a moment where Max and Sophie is her name, are exploring Max losing her virginity. It doesn't happen. It was supposed to happen that same night that Hunter and Jenny hooked up. But that's what's going on with Max. And so she really likes this girl and everything like that. And she found Sophie after getting her heart broken from her first crush because the girl wasn't gay. So now she's getting her heart broken again because Sophie's breaking up with her. She's saying that she just doesn't see her and Max being together when she goes off to college. And this tears Max apart. So the girls all go over to Max's. Jenny, Abby, Nora, they're all there trying to comfort her, trying to get her to not call her ex. And this is the moment where Abby finds out that there is something going on between Jenny and Marcus because she sees them in the room together. She's not even trying to be nosy. She's just trying to get Jenny to help with Max and her craziness. And she sees Jenny and Marcus having a moment. And in that moment, they decide not to tell Max because she is going through enough with Sophie. So Abby's not going to say anything. Jenny's not going to say anything. That's where we're at right now with that. At the same time with Maxine, she has been practicing for a musical play that's happening at their school all season. Okay, it's called Sing Sing. Abby, who never really liked Jenny in the first place, is going through some things. Her parents have been arguing and are going to divorce. And she has been trying to tell her friends what she's been going through, but everyone has been going through their own stuff, paying attention to what Jenny's got going on with Hunter and everything like that. And Abby is really getting put on the back burner. And she's been trying to talk to her friends, but honestly, she's just getting the short end of the stick right now. So for once in her little attitude, I can understand why she's unhappy. This is one moment where I can have a little sympathy for Abby. Also, after her birthday is when we have an important moment with Marcus and Jenny. First of all, in the series, we find out that Jenny has been self-harming by doing, well, I guess it's not really important. Watch the show if you want to see how. But basically, you know how Marcus likes to just come through her window? Well, yeah, he did that and caught her doing it one night. And he approached it very softly. She was kind of like in the middle of an episode and she just lashed out at him. She lashed out at him and said mean things. I knew that it was just because she was guilty, because she had been caught doing what she was doing, and she didn't want to explain to him about it and be vulnerable about that, so she pushed him away. It looks like he's about to be in tears. He goes back out the window the way he does, and then he goes speeding down the road on his dang motorcycle, and of course we hear a crash at the end of that episode. So yeah, he gets into a little accident. He does not die. See, y'all didn't have to go through the suspense. See, I was waiting for the next episode to see what the heck was going to be going on. Everybody's got things going on at the same time. Like I keep saying, Austin has not been going to school. Again, he had a bully. The bully was bullying. Austin was holding it in until he couldn't hold it in anymore and ended up stabbing the boy in the hand with a pencil. And because of that, Austin got suspended for a few days, a week, some amount of time. And when it was time for Austin to go back to school, he actually didn't enter the building. He went wandering off into the woods and stuff like that. And he's done that for a whole week because he's just trying to avoid school. Georgia actually doesn't find that out until the end of the week when Austin's teacher makes a comment about how he's not there. He must have been sick or something like that. And still, Georgia's going through her own mess too, of course. The election, okay, it's around the corner. Her, Nick, and Paul are working hard to be able to beat out none other than our favorite Karen this season, Cynthia. That's right, people. Cynthia, the town mother, has decided to run against Paul because she's a mother and she cares. And that's really her whole thing. During this whole rivalry with Cynthia, she has accused Georgia of stealing from the mayor's office, which she absolutely did and covered up. But because she covered it up, Cynthia ended up looking like the crazy one. So let's take it back a little bit to catch you up on some more things. As far as Ginny goes, I think around this time, her and Marcus may have expressed their love to each other. No. See, this whole thing with her dating Hunter and having experiences with Marcus too is just kind of confusing me in my memories right now, because her and Hunter did have their first little argument, and it was a pretty serious one. They were having the oppression Olympics, okay, as a black and white girl and an Asian guy. I think he's from Taiwan or something like that, or his family is. But either way, they are basically talking about the hardships that each party has had to go through. And I personally, as a black person, didn't even know that this type of conversation could be this competitive. But, you know, Hunter's making his points, and not to even throw water on what any culture has gone through or anything like that. I just feel like the writer should have stepped a little bit more for Ginny, because she was making points, she was, but Hunter had a little more passion behind his, and the conversation ended on his words. It can end on his words, you know, Ginny don't have to have the last word, but it just would have been nice if they would have let her drive her point home a little bit more. I'm not mad at the scene. They let it go in an interesting way because usually the black person will have the upper hand in that conversation. However, the fact that the black person did not have the upper hand in this type of conversation educated us on what. But yeah, that's what they argued about. And then of course they weren't talking for a few days. Now, I told you about Marcus's accident. Okay, let's talk about how Max finds out about Ginny and her brother, because remember, Abby already knows and it's a secret. But Marcus, like, you know, got into his accident. He had his phone somewhere downstairs while he was in bed, and Maxine saw a text message from Ginny. She reads the thread, and that's how she finds out what's going on. Now, how I feel about that is, I understand looking at your brother's phone, seeing your friend's name pop across, and being like, but she absolutely invaded her brother's privacy by just going in his phone and reading the text messages. I really feel like a better way for her to handle that would have been to ask one of them, whichever one she felt most comfortable with, probably maybe her family, her brother, but don't just go in his phone, because you don't have the right to just go in his phone because you see that your friend texts him. And that's the problem with Max. She's a good friend, you know, not a horrible person, but she has a very overpowering energy, and it is in the best way, but it does kind of make things about her. Sometimes she can minimalize people's issues because of her own self, and I feel like that's what she was doing in this moment. Partially, she was making it about herself and mad because she couldn't control the situation and stuff like that. But it's partially because now Ginny is just looking like a dirty person. You're supposed to call yourself my best friend. You had sex with my brother and didn't tell your best friend? When you hide big things from your best friend, it's because you're guilty about something. It's because you know you're doing wrong about something and you don't want that person to tell you anything about yourself, or or just judge you. And I definitely think that was the case here, because remember, I mean, Ginny didn't want to tell Max because she had a boyfriend who was Hunter, who was also Max's friend. It was just a messy situation. So I get it. But I do also understand why Max is mad. She's like, that is not really the actions of a trustworthy person. And it's not. Another thing about Maxine is that she, in this play that she has been practicing for all season, called Sing Sing, at the premiere of Sing Sing is when Ginny approaches her and tries to like plead her case and everything like that. At this point, Ginny doesn't even know why Max and the rest of the girls are not talking to her. She doesn't know that Max saw the text message and everything like that. So this is the moment that she finds out why they're mad at her, when Max is like, you had sex with my brother. And she's like, so, Ginny comes clean and everything like that. After the show is over, her and Max are talking about it, and Max is expressing how hurt she is that she didn't tell her. And it kind of seems like Max just wants to know everybody's business, but it is her best friend, and it is just like, for me to be one of the last people to find out, it's just weird. It just is. Max does have a reason to be mad. In this moment, though, is when Max also finds out that Abby knew. And it's not like Ginny meant to rat her out about it. It's just like everything was coming out at that moment. So she had said something to let the group know that Abby knew as well. And so Max now gets mad at Abby. And so now Abby's mad at Ginny again, which that's not too hard to do. And then, like clockwork, Hunter comes out, and Abby, like she loves to do, squeals on Ginny again, and she's just like, Ginny had sex with Marcus, just like that, straight like that. And so that's how Hunter finds out. And this is the thing about Abby. Like, I understand that you didn't want Max to know that you didn't know, but it's time to come clean now. What you wanted is for Ginny to take all of the wrath, just like you did for the whole stealing situation. You wanted Ginny to take all of Maxine's anger instead of you being a part of it, because you knew too and you hid it from her too, for good reasons. Maxine shouldn't even be mad at Abby. But her whole thing is, you acted like you didn't know when I told you, and just like the whole deceitful aspect of it from Maxine is just not working. And I get that. I really do. But on Abby's end, she shouldn't really be that mad at Ginny, because it's just like, bro, if Ginny didn't say anything, everything was just going to follow her, and you shouldn't even want that, because you did know too. You should want to come clean too. So you're just mad at Ginny because she's not in this moment allowing you to be secretive still, and also because Max is now mad at you. So I get that. But put your big girl panties on, Abby. Get over Max being mad at you and figure out your way around that, and stop taking every single thing out on Ginny. That's how I feel about her. That's how I felt when watching. And just like clockwork, Marcus comes around the corner and admits that him and Ginny had this thing going on. Hunter is upset about it. He's like, I'm better than this, and you're gonna leave me for him, blah, 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 and real calm about it, okay? Until he turns around, he's like, you know what? Turns around, punches Marcus right in the face. Marcus didn't do anything. He's already injured. He just had his accident, girl. But that is how everything happened. And now her and Hunter has broken up. Her and all her friends have broken up. Her and Marcus are on the rocks too, because whenever they asked Marcus about it, he was like, no, it's a mistake. Now, I knew what he was doing. He was trying to really protect her, because he didn't know what angle to come from. He just like walked into all of them having this moment. He didn't know what to say. He didn't deny doing it, but he was just like, it was a mistake. Instead of the I love yous and all the softness that they were having with each other behind closed doors, he said that, and that hurt Ginny's feelings. And I'm just like, girl, he didn't mean it that way. He was trying to protect you because he didn't know what to say at the moment. Like, that's really what that was. So at this moment, though, Ginny's feeling like she has nobody on her side, and that is another thing that makes her run away with Austin to her father Zion's house. And this is really how the season ends, with the whole debacle with the friendships and Ginny's love life. The election, Paul ends up winning, thank goodness. And we see Cynthia go back home kind of somber, and we see her son laying on the couch and her husband hooked up to all the monitors and everything like that. And this is the first time you really feel bad for Cynthia. I mean, whenever you hear that her husband is sick, for me, that was the moment I was like, okay, that's why she's so miserable, that she's really going through something at home. But this is the moment where we get to see it. And now Cynthia has become just a little more human to us, At the election, Georgia also has a moment with the private investigator where he's just like, what'd you do with the body? Because again, they're trying to have like another autopsy on the body of her ex-husband to prove that there was foul play. But when they went to the grave site, the body was not there. Okay. And so we don't know exactly what happened, but in his conversation with Georgia at the election, she alludes to blowing it up, blowing the body up with firecrackers, because firecrackers are going on while Paul is celebrating his win and things like that. And she's just like, it's like firecrackers. It takes something as big as firecrackers to spread the ashes out, or something like that. It seemed like she was saying that she used some sort of explosive or something to explode the body and get rid of it. So now her settlement is coming through with the divorce now that that's over with. And it's good because, you know, she's been putting credit cards in her kids' names. She's been stealing money, like I said, from the mayor's office. She had a moment where she stole money from the school, the kids' school. She volunteered to chaperone for like a school sleepover night or something like that. You know, she had the money box. She was taking it into the office and she cut a little off the top for herself. And yeah, that's wrong, but she didn't have the money. Her divorce settlement, they were playing with her and she needed to pay her bills and stuff like that. That's the end of the season. We don't get to see Austin's dad in the first season. That's coming in the second season. What's happening with her and Paul's relationship, what's happening with Ginny and her friends now that nobody is talking to her but Marcus. And we kind of see that at the end of season 1, that her and Marcus get back cool when she comes back from her father's house and returns his motorcycle. We don't get to see Jenny and Ellen, her across the street neighbor friend, make up in the first season. I'm going to have to rewatch the second season to actually see how a lot of these things happen again, and then come back and give you guys that recap so that we can all enjoy the third season together. Okay, now I'm going to drop these videos maybe like a couple days before the actual third season premieres so that you have a couple days to like go binge if you have the time. If not, here is this recap and you're welcome. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. I hope if you have not seen this show at all, you kind of understand that there's a lot going on, that it's about a single mom who had a very rough upbringing, so she really doesn't know how to handle things in a healthy way. And that is affecting her kids now and her new life now that she's trying to turn over and be positive and stable. So that's Ginny and Georgia season 1 in a nutshell. Again, thank you so much for being here with me. Make sure you like the video, comment down below anything you think, and join me next time for the recap of season 2. I'll see you guys next recap.